The creators of this podcast would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which it is recorded. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people are the first storytellers of this land. We pay respect to their elders, past, present and emerging, as well as any Indigenous people who may be listening today.
This podcast is a Tofop production.
Head to tofop.com for more.
The following episode of Tofop is rated MA for mature audiences. It may contain sexual references, time travel references, allegations of bin misconduct, and mild coarse language. Tofop advises that this episode is not suitable for anyone under the age of 15 or anyone who thinks a comedy conversation between two old mates sounds like a terrible idea for a show. Minors must be accompanied by a parent or guardian. This is John Deek speaking.
Relax. This is Tofop. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Wil Anderson. Hello and thank you for watching.
Will, a lot of feedback on my magpie issue. A lot of people fascinated by this story. It's caught the imagination of the nation, and a lot of things competing with the public's attention. But I feel like this magpie story is really it's blown the lid.
You know what? And the thing is, there's a lot of nuance to it for an issue that we initially thought was black and white. Thank you very much. Anyway, I've been Wil Anderson. He's been Charlie Clausen. Go to Patreon.
Well, it's fair to say, Will, that the Tofop listeners are in a flap.
Okay. Wow, really?
Yeah. So let me beak from the heart.
Oh, boy. Okay. All right. Yes.
And regurgitate. No. This is from Marion, who said, I've been listening to last week's episode. We are writing to tell you how swooping magpies were dealt with in the 1980s in Perth. At our primary school, there was a particularly defensive Maggie on the girls' oval. It was named the girls' oval as it was the smaller of the school's two ovals, which should give you some idea how PC things were back there and how this story is to go. I seem to have vague memories of that at my primary school. I don't remember, we didn't have ovals because it was primary school, but I remember there was a girls' playground and a boys' playground. And I don't think it was a gender. It was one was bigger and one was smaller, and the boys had the bigger one, the girls had the smaller one. That tracks. Was that similar for you?
I mean, I remember growing up going to golf courses and stuff and realizing that they had like ladies' tees and men's tees, you know. So there was a place where, and I remember at primary school and at senior school, I remember.
Was yours a co-ed school?
Yeah. And there was a separation of where the boys and the girls would have. No, I don't think there was. I honestly don't believe there was like a girls' oval and a boys' oval. I just think that the girls were more likely to be somewhere like playing elastics or, gathering in, like, so they weren't necessarily out on the big football oval playing football or whatever.
What was the big game that wasn't like footy? Like, was it Brandy? Like, what was the one that because Brandy in my primary school was huge.
There was one that, Brandy or Brandings, depending on where you grew up.
Yeah, with a tennis ball?
Yeah, with the tennis ball or any item really that you could throw at somebody.
Anything, yeah. So I don't know how it worked in your school, but it started off, so just say there was like 30 kids. So one kid would start with a ball and you'd be all contained in the quadrangle, and that guy would try and hit someone, brand them with a tennis ball. And if that person got hit, it was like a zombie. They got converted. Suddenly there was two peoples with the ball and they could pass the ball to each other. And then that's how the game would unfold. As more and more people got branded, it came down to the few survivors who could like escape the growing hordes of the branders. And the only defense you had against about someone throwing a ball, if you punched the ball away, like you deflected it with your fist, you were still alive and you could keep going. And I remember me and my friend took it.
Could you catch the ball or you just had to punch it away?
You could catch it. You could catch it, yeah. You could also catch it or punch it away.
And how did you know who had been branded and who was part of this like emerging posse of people versus those who hadn't been branded?
Because they would get hit.
Yeah, but then going onwards, how were you identifying the people who had been branded versus the ones who still hadn't been branded? Like, did you remove an item of clothing or like, how did you know?
No, I just think we just knew because
the way they carried themselves.
Well, yeah, no, because the branders would move in a coordinated fashion because I think they had to pass the ball like volleyball like netball style, run to the other.
Join us. Yeah.
Join us. And the brandies were just running, and because it wasn't like you could hide anywhere. It was just like a quadrangle. So you're just trying to dodge and weave. And me and my friend took it so seriously. We each wore, because I'm left-handed, he was right-handed. So we got cricket gloves. And so I'd wear one on my left and he'd wear one on his right, and we'd use it to punch the balls away and stuff.
I'm not sure we should rush by the fact that you and your friend had matching cricket gloves that you used for brandy.
No, they weren't matching. It was one set of gloves that we would split. Yeah.
And you were the left hand and he was the right hand. It was like one of those "you're my best friend" necklaces that you split in half and each of you has the love heart.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, would you guys team up? Like, or would you then go your own ways? So, like, was this was this a Voltron style situation where, like, the two of you would combine your powers, so you had like a left hand and a right hand in unison, or were you in different places completely?
I think in classic wrestling, like Royal Rumble style, when it was advantageous, you'd be teammates, but when it was down to you and him, each man for himself, every kid for himself. And I also remember. Do you remember those cricket gloves where the padding, so for, overseas listeners?
Yeah, was spiky.
Yes. They had the rubber spikes on them. So they kind of looked like...
rubber spikes on them.
Yeah, it was like...
Little rubber spikes. It looked like some sort of like mace or some medieval torture device that they'd made in a cricket glove.
I think in the Road Warrior, the Mad Max 2, I think one of the costumes that one of the people's wearing is these like rubber... Because it does look like Fisher-Price apocalypse wear. It's like a fetish, spiky rubber spikes all over a glove.
I mean, it does feel like somebody down at the cricket factory just got bored with making things that were all white and very practical and was just like, fuck this. I am going to make at least one of these feel like a sex toy.
Yeah, that's right. Donatella Versace just turns up. She's decided she's going to do the new range of cricket gloves.
The gloves now have spikes, rubber spikes. That's what I'm seeing. Rubber. It's based on, it comes in with an old school like torture device and says, I just want it based on this.
Yeah. So so now it's just the fat sausages, like the padded sausages.
Yeah. It's padding.
But did it start off sausages, go to spikes, then back to sausages?
Well, I remember there was a time where there were both spikes and sausages available. That's what I do know.
And did they go to the national level, like with the Australian cricket team wearing spikes?
Was there anyone who wore spiky rubber gloves in the Australian cricket team? Good question. One that we can't answer, but Adam Zwar, who is a mutual friend of ours, so you can hear episodes of Fofop with Adam Zwar.
I'm going to text him.
Can you text him right now?
I'm going to call him.
Yeah, actually, you know what?
Should I call him?
Yeah, let's call him. Like, what a great thing to call somebody about randomly out of the blue about lunchtime on a Saturday. So,
I don't know if this will go through.
Okay, well, why don't you just call him regardless, and see if he will give us the answer, and you can relay what the answer is if we can't hear it.
All right. Okay. Let me just try him now. I did see him last night. Watch the footy together, so I know he's around. Here we go. Can you hear that or not?
I can.
You can? Okay.
Hey, mate. How are you?
Hey, mate. It's Charlie, obviously. I've just got you live on Tofop. I hope that's okay. Will and I wanted to speak to you as our resident cricket expert. We're having a discussion about cricket gloves. And you remember the old cricket gloves that had the rubber spikes on them?
Yep.
Were they ever used at an international level?
Yeah. They were using the Bodyline series.
Were they? They're that long ago.
Yeah.
Right. So there was it didn't go from like padded sort of sausage padding to spikes back to sausage. It started off as the rubber spikes, then it went to sausage.
I can't answer that. I think that maybe the sausage and spikes were kind of going in tandem with each other. I think that maybe sausage might have been the earliest, but then spikes were the kind of newfangled version. 20s and 30s. I remember Stan McCabe wore the spike gloves.
Right. So when you reenacted the Bodyline thing that you did for that documentary where you had Brett Lee bowl at you, and were you wearing the rubber spikes?
Yes.
Right.
I was. Yep.
And were they modern rubber spikes or authentic like 19?
No, they were authentic. Everything I had on was like authentic. They sourced it like from museums and stuff. The only modern thing I had on was my box.
Right.
That was a deal breaker.
Can Adam? Can you hear me if I speak?
I can.
Hello, mate. Very well, thank you. Yeah, so I thought that they coexisted as well, but then I thought we had to go to an expert who might actually know if they'd been used at the international level. Is there any chance, can you foresee in this, like, you know, world of cricket that we now have, could somebody bring back those rubber spikes as a look? Would there be any batsman who was brave enough? Like, they'd still be legal, right? You'd still be able to play in them, right?
Yeah, you can play in whatever you want, but your finger, you're likely to break a finger. You know, the only person I know who would wear rubber spikes is a person who's trying to do it for like alpha reasons, you know, and it's like
some kind of intimidation, you think?
Yeah, and he came in with because he thought we're all below him or beneath him. Sorry.
Yeah,
and he came in without pads or gloves to bat, and Stephen Curry was bowling and he hit Stephen Curry for 5-6.
So hang on, I think you dropped out for a sec, Adam. Who was this person?
Oh, so Wayne Carey came in, no pads or gloves.
Yeah.
Or box, and Steve Curry was bowling little off spinners.
Yeah.
And he hit 5 6s and 1 over, right? And then the next bowler they had was a guy from South Australia who was like a first change bowler for South Australia, and he bowled about 135. You know, it was pretty quick. It was a left armer, and Kerry wore the first one on the body, but he refused to go back to the pavilion and get padded up because that would actually demote his alpha status.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you know, you can imagine him kind of wearing something just to say, I'm not scared of you.
Well, hang on. So, Adam, are you saying that Wayne Carey, despite all available evidence, will argue something to the contrary?
Yeah, he just might surprise you. He's not a great guy.
Well, that's actually, I think, when you dropped out before, it was actually just his name being redacted from this podcast. So I think that's okay. Well, thank you, Adam. We appreciate that very much, mate.
All right.
Have a good day. Bye. Well, there you go.
Okay.
So that's I mean, it makes sense. I think the reason why the rubber spikes work is so you can bend your fingers easily because it's not like a solid chunk of padding.
Okay.
So that's
the advantage.
What I'm wondering is why in the 1980s I had a pair of cricket gloves that had the rubber spikes on them. I mean, that's a long time. Even in the 80s, it was a long time from Bodyline. Like, surely my family hadn't held onto those gloves since like the 30s. When was Bodyline? The 30s?
I believe, though. No. People were still wearing them around at cricket when I was playing cricket when I was growing up. So I think that you've actually identified what the issue is, which is that there was a time where the sausage technology the sausages were pretty stiff sausages. Right?
Cumbersome. Yeah.
Cumbersome. So, like, the idea that you wouldn't be able to grip your instrument of work properly, like, you know, maybe there was an advantage to saying, you know, maybe there were some batsmen who were like, yes, I know it doesn't offer the same protection, but I just like the feel of it in my hands. I don't want to raw dog it. I don't want to go out there with no gloves on, but I need something that is like ribbed for my protection.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Did you ever I remember because I was not a very good cricketer. I think I was good at the lower levels. I think I won the batting award in the D's or something like that. But I remember the first time I played a competitive game, I would have been like 12 or something, and walking out to the crease and been handed a box. Like, no one had actually thought to talk me through the box and how to put it on. And I didn't know that you're meant to put it inside your undies. Like I put it between my undies and my cricket pants. And so it obviously was not being held in place. It was not like, and I remember like after I went for my first run, the fly, because the box is so close to my fly, it burst my fly open, like split the fly open. And so I had to bat the rest of then the umpire came over and like advised me. So I was allowed to leave the pitch and put but then, because I was wearing red undies, I had my cricket pants and this bulging, like my bulging red penis, like
some sort of animal,
but like incoming bowler,
but like a nature documentary. That's what you would have looked like. You would have looked like some weird animal in nature that has like a bulging red crotch,
my engorged crotch.
So okay, must admit, when it came to like box technology, I might have talked about this on the podcast before because this has been the bane of my existence for a very long time. There's a particular advertisement that runs on Australian TV for a glasses company. I think it's Specsavers. And the premise of this ad is it's someone who's about to walk out to play a game of cricket, and they, on the table, go to grab their protective device, their box to put over their genitals to slide down their pants. And instead, Charlie, from the snack buffet that has been provided, they grab half an avocado and they put that half an avocado down the front of their pants, and then like the tagline is "should have gone to Specsavers," right? It's very, very funny stuff. Now that ad annoys me for so many fucking reasons, but the major one being, who the fuck is putting their box on a table with the snacks? That is the problem that I have with this ad. It's a faulty premise. This guy is a scumbag, and I don't care that he's got an avocado down his pants.
Where? So I haven't seen the ad. So tell me, like, are the snacks set up on the side of the cricket oval? So it's like,
well, yeah. So it's like I set up for like tea.
Who takes avocado to the cricket?
Well, no, this isn't like somebody's like watching the cricket and that's their snacks. This is more like, I imagine you're playing in a cricket competition and, you know, you have like lunch or afternoon tea like provided as part. Yeah, everybody brings a plate. Yeah. It's kind of that setup. I believe like it's an outdoor trestle table style situation. It's near where the guy's getting ready to go into bat, and he's put his box up with all the snacks and the foods and the finger sandwiches, and then he's mistakenly grabbed an avocado. Secondly, an avocado is not so similar to a protective device that you would wear to protect your genitals in cricket that you would make that mistake for more than 1 second. Like in the premise of this ad, he goes out to bat. Like you'd immediately know that you'd picked up an avocado and not your protective device.
Why is it? Have you ever wondered when you're watching American like college sports, you know, the sports in American college films and stuff, that they wear jock straps, like their boxes are attached to jock straps? Is that what a jock strap is? It's a protector with an elastic band around it?
Yeah.
Am I getting that right?
Yeah, but isn't that for your cup?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
That's what we call it a box. They call it a cup, right?
So how come we in Australia we just give you the cup? You don't get the strap part. Should we look this up? Like, okay, I'm curious to know. Not? So if I write, what is the question we're trying to ask? What is a jock strap?
You wrote what is a jock strap, and I'll say, why don't we use jock straps in Australia?
What is? And I promise, Marion, we're going to get back to your letter in a sec because it is interesting.
Oh, we're doing letters? I forgot we were doing letters.
No, we started with like the boys, girls, and the boys oval and girls oval. But we'll get back to it. But this has caught my imagination. What is a jock strap? Okay. Oh, no, jock strap doesn't have a cup in it. A jock strap is, all right, do you want to know what the literal definition is? A jock strap,
yes, please.
Also known as a strap, cup, groin guard, pelvic protector, or athletic supporter, is an undergarment for protecting the testes and penis and vulva during contact sports or other vigorous physical activities. This article chiefly deals with the genital protective sports gear designed for the male body, colloquially known as a jock. So a jock strap consists of a waistband with a support pouch for the genitalia, and 2 elastic straps affixed to the base of the pouch, to the left and the right side of the waistbands. Okay, so we all know what that looks like. So the bum's exposed. Yes. You've got a couple straps around the thighs, big strap around the waist, and then the front looks like, you know, just your normal jocks. The pouch in some varieties can be fitted with a pocket to hold an abdominal guard, which is what Australians we would call a box. It says here on Wikipedia, known as a cup or a box, to protect the testicles or penis from injury. And or penis is a great name for a band. It's an and or penis. The Jill strap, aka the Jill, is a female equivalent of jock strap designed to protect the vulva from getting struck. Okay, so this answers our question. So yes, this is what American, you know, I imagine professional, but you know, mainly high school athletes wear to protect themselves. We were never offered this in Australia. Like you had to just rely on having good, strong underpants that could hold a box. But then you look at this, and this is like custom designed, so it's a bit roomier. It straps around, like it makes more sense. I mean, it's ugly as fuck, and I can't believe I'm looking at this.
Yeah, but it's more complicated, and Yeah. And here's what I will say. I was absolutely wrong, by the way, because I found an article that says that there are jock straps purchased in Australia, quite a lot of them, and they are purchased, of course, not for people to play sport with, but they are purchased. No, it's okay. It's fine. It's not a no-no. It's fine. It's not a no-no. I mean, for some people it's a no-no, but I think for most modern people it's not a no-no. No, the queer community, they're quite popular in the queer community, the jockstrap for other reasons. So
that's chapter 6 of the Wikipedia entry, the gay subculture fetish. I think Kim Kardashian has just posed for the cover of Interview magazine, and she's wearing a jockstrap.
Oh, is she? I know her bum's hanging out of her pants. Like somebody has like taken a photo mid her getting ready for that photo shoot, and they're just like that. This is an interesting world that we live in now, isn't it? Where it's like we're going to interview this like very successful businesswoman about her career, but also
and lawyer,
human rights lawyer, but also here's her bum. It's hanging out the back of her pants in our shot on the cover.
It's Idiocracy. The number one film in Idiocracy is a film called Ass, and it's just 3 hours of an ass on screen. And it is a blockbuster. So the jockstrap, here's a bit of trivia about it. So they started using that term in 1891, a contraction of a jockey strap that was first designed by bicycle riding messengers and deliverymen, which makes sense. As someone who's recently started riding again, that area, like your perineum to your bloody testes, like it's the worst. Like you need a lift and separate, because the longer that stuff sits in a bike seat, the longer you pedal, it's absolutely painful.
Have you considered the padded pant?
The bike pants, like Colette, ring my bell.
No. Well, I mean, yes, there are bike pants, but you can now get, I believe, all sorts of padded like bike riding stuff that isn't your traditional bike pants. Like it's actually made for, to protect.
That's for cyclists, though.
But what are you doing?
I'm not riding far enough.
All right,
just riding around town and dodging magpies.
I mean, it's still enough that I would like protection for that part of my body. Maybe like a comfier seat. You can get do you have a padded seat?
I don't know if it's padded. It's just a normal seat. Like it's rubber, soft rubber.
So, but it's not like it doesn't have any technology that makes it feel like they've added some sort of softness to it to protect. Is there a rivet or a divot or something in the middle?
You would think I should put a sheep wool, like a cab driver. Just put those beads.
Maybe not beads. I mean. I think firstly they're going to attract more birds, so that's not going to help.
These wooden beads. Look, I don't feel any more comfortable. My balls have never been so relaxed.
No, but you're going to get a ball massage. You're going to get ball bag caught between the beads. That's not that's a terrible idea. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to be rubbing you. Yeah, that's no good.
And sheepskin would be. I mean, sheep's wool would be no good because. You just get sweaty, you get real, and then the last thing you want is bloody chafing down there. Okay, just a bit of trivia, Will, that I found about the jockstrap. So it was invented in the mid-'80s, mainly for bicycle riders and couriers and so forth. The jockstrap was influential in early 20th century medicine with the invention of the Heidelberg electric belt, a low-voltage powered jockstrap.
What?
That claimed... This sounds like fucking something I'd try. That claimed to cure kidney disorders, insomnia, and erectile dysfunction, amongst other ailments.
100% you would try that. You'd be like, if it told you it burned calories at 3 times the normal rate, you would absolutely try that.
I'll plug myself straight in that. And while you're at it, just take a look at the old Johnson. So make sure he's standing to attention when he should be. The old fella. Today's jockstraps are still worn in the US by adolescent and adult men for sports, weightlifting, and medical purposes, and for recovery from surgery. I still don't understand why it never caught on professionally in Australia. Never once in any kind of change room or even gymnasium have I ever seen anyone wearing a jockstrap. And it's just strange, right? I've seen a lot of guys who lift weights at my gym, and not one of them I've ever seen wearing a jockstrap. In fact, I think it'd be weird.
Well, here's an article. It's an American article, but it feels like they're maybe not as popular in America either, because the articles, it's from Men's Health magazine. You're familiar with Men's Health magazine. So this was published on December 24th. Some Christmas content, 2015. Whatever happened to jock straps?
What did happen to jock straps?
Remember jock straps? Or more specifically, remember when guys used to wear jock straps? I vividly remember grim warnings from my high school gym teachers who lectured us on exactly what would happen if we didn't wear them. This is great because he's going to run through a little bit of the best case scenario. We'd never be able to have children. We'd twist the wrong way and that's it. Our reproductive organs would be mangled beyond repair.
Hang on.
And
what? All right, I'm sure he's going to get to it.
And that was if we were lucky. Worst case, we'd suffer testicular trauma. There'd be ruptures, fractures, contusions, torsions.
You can't fracture your testicles. That I'm pretty sure of. There's no bone in there.
There was no end to the horrible things that could happen to our nuts during a friendly game of pickleball.
What's pickleball? I have so many questions. None of these words are making. All right, you get going. I'm going to Google pickleball.
Okay, good. I haven't put on a jockstrap since sentences like I'm worried about tomorrow's algebra test. And I sincerely think that dry humping my girlfriend during a slow dance at prom sounds like a meaningful relationship milestone were things I thought about regularly. However, that is until this new compression jock and cup system sent me so he basically got sent a new freebie, right?
Yeah.
At first, I left it on my desk like a perverse tip jar. I even briefly used it as a makeshift container for pens and put Post-it notes in it.
Okay, can I ask a question? If you work in that office, like, is that considered some kind of inappropriate behavior to have a genital protector on your desk? Like, is it sort of if there are women in the office who feel uncomfortable about that?
Yeah.
I mean, is it? Like, if it was a vulva protector, are you within your rights to say, hey, look, I was going past Susan's desk and I know she loves playing netball or whatever, but that vulva protector, it's just inappropriate.
Well, I mean, I get maybe more like I went past Susan's desk and I asked to get like a paper clip and she like has a bra full of paper clips just like hanging off her. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I'd like to tell you what they looked like to know if that is appropriate, but unfortunately, image no longer available.
Okay.
So I decided to strap it on for the Men's Health Monday morning editorial meeting. There's something weirdly exhilarating about going to work wearing the kind of testicular protection usually reserved for MMA athletes, because when your balls are that ensconced, you know without a shadow of a doubt that the day won't end with you being rushed to the emergency room with internal scrotal bleeding. Of course, you could say that most days, especially if your job like mine involves long periods of typing on a computer or having conversations with calm, entirely non-violent people who are unlikely to do anyway, blah, blah, blah.
Can I ask you a question, Will?
Yes.
So when you were fitting your box on before you went out to bat,
yes,
are you putting the frank over the beans or the frank beside the beans?
Oh.
Or are you lifting the frank up? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, are you folding the frank down over the beans? Is the frank coming up, so frank on top, beans on bottom? Or does the frank go to the side, beans to the side?
Well, okay. So, there's a cup part down the bottom, right? Like for those who've never used one of these things. So what I would generally do is like hold – Frankenbeans needed to be sort of removed from like the place where, so you'd have to clear out the Frankenbeans to put the box in, right? And then you would sort of put the box in cup first and then lower the beans into the cup and let the Frank fall where it may, I think was my attitude.
I mean, did you have to kind of just like Mr. Whippy style, just curl it up like a snake just on top, so it gets a nice little snooze on top?
So here's what I wanted to get to. When our high school gym coaches warned us of testicular Armageddon, the result from letting the boys dangle unprotected, were they full of shit? Probably, says Brian, someone, MD, director of the men's. So like they found an actual expert in like genital mutilation.
Oh God.
The doctor has treated some truly horrific, gory penis injuries. But when it comes to testicular trauma, at least among non-pro athletes, he insists it rarely happens.
Okay.
Of the 25,000 patients he treats every year, about 2 of those are suffering from scrotal injury.
You know what's weird about that is that in my high school alone, there were three significant scrotal injuries in 4 years of high school. So I don't know what school is it. Maybe it's not. If you went to an all-boys school like I did, he would see the incidence of scrotal trauma and injury went up way higher.
Well, he talks about if you're going to a doctor though, this is at school, you're like somebody hurts their testicles, they might go to the sick bay, but they're not going to the hospital.
No, like I'm talking like serious hospitalization. I mean, I know
there's one.
Name again.
Yeah, no, it's funny, very funny though.
Look, I won't use it again, but go find it. It's a funny episode.
It's very funny,
wordplay.
yes.
But then there was another guy who got kneed in the balls, a bit of roughhousing, and he had to go to hospital and have part of his testicles removed. And then there was another kid who had one testicle removed, and henceforth was referred to as the one and only, which was very cruel, especially when introduced him at assembly.
This doctor, because he is asked, what's the most, what are the ways that people come in with testicular trauma? Like, what is causing testicular trauma? I think this is a good, thing to know. So he lists 3 examples of areas where somebody might experience testicular trauma. Now, one of them, I think, probably it's a form of it's a form of something that happens regularly where testicular trauma wouldn't be the only trauma you'd experience if this scenario happened. It's something that both you and I do. So it is something that, is something that we take our nuts into our hands every time that we apparently take part in this particular. It's a very common thing. Not just you and I do it. A lot of people do it.
A lot of people do. Is it just? Is it a necessity? Is it a daily necessity?
Oh well, so
urinating
in the country, it's a daily necessity, probably, or at least every couple of days necessity.
And it has to do with your balls.
It's something that you do, and not everybody does, and you only do if you're an adult or close to being an adult, if that makes sense.
Okay, masturbate.
No. I mean, again, think
I don't know why to be in the
scenario.
country for that to be a necessity.
Again,
Nothing gets me off quite like the sound of kookaburras.
Cockaburras. So I'm thinking really that, I just like people laughing at me while I do it. Anyway.
I think I missed the setup to this question. I'm lost.
These are real life scenarios. So activities that people do in their real life where there is. So for example, playing cricket.
Gardening?
Yeah. So now you're more in the area. Playing cricket or gardening are examples of activities that could result in testicular trauma.
Testicular trauma. And and you say it's something that you and I do.
But you may have already done it today. I don't know if you have, but you may have already done it today.
Oh, I'm just having trouble linking that with people in the country. Is it getting bitten by? No.
Think of it. It's something that people in the city and the country all do. I'm just saying, when you live in the country, you are much more likely to do it regularly.
Shit. Ride a horse.
Okay. Well, you know what? You've actually skipped to. I was going to leave this one for last. Okay. But one of the examples is maybe a horse kicked them in the balls. So apparently that is
pretty common.
So horse-related ball trauma. So I've got horses in the paddock at the moment. So this has really suddenly got me alert for the safety of my testicles, because there are 3 horses in the paddock downstairs. They are just a ball explosion waiting to go off. This other thing that you can't identify, look, you potentially, on an episode of Tofop, you described doing this thing where you absolutely could have ended up in a situation where you had testicle trauma. You didn't, luckily, but you could have.
And it fuck, man.
People may be listening to this podcast doing it at the moment. In fact, I'm sure a lot of the people who listen to this podcast do it while they're doing this activity.
Oh, at the gym. Some kind of herniating your scrotum or something like that.
I mean, I imagine that would be on the list, but that is not on the list. Think think about how you might get to the gym, not in your particular instance.
Okay, in a car accident.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay. So, or there was a car accident where the steering wheel went into their nuts.
What? How?
Well, apparently it can happen in a car accident.
Yeah, how low is you? Have I got my steering wheel in the wrong place? My steering wheel's about chest shoulder height. Am I doing this wrong the whole time?
Well, I assume if there's like maybe if it gets jammed, I don't know.
I mean, I would love if they just remodeled cars so the steering wheel was now between your thighs. You had to hold, like everyone had to drive like this. Just like that. Just like they're like polishing a bowling ball between their legs, just like that. That's how you drive from now on. It's like, mate, I'll tell you what, it would cut down on road deaths. Like if you knew there was a chance, if you had even a fender bend, that thing is going to pop out and hit you in the nuts. Every male driver and potentially vulva-sensitive female drivers would drive a lot more carefully.
So, horse in the balls, car accident where the steering wheel goes into your nuts. The third one is something that both my father and brother do regularly that I have done in my life. Operating something.
Like some kind of machinery.
Yep, some sort of machinery. What specific machinery?
Your father. So two farmers do it regularly, and you've done it.
Yes.
Is it near the nut region? Is it? I mean, the car thing was a bit confusing because there's no way I would assume a steering wheel is going into anyone's body.
Well, it's okay. It says farm equipment, heavy machinery and farm equipment.
Okay,
so
fine,
that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, right. I thought I was going to go specifically for like a combine harvester or
And
something. Whatever you do, don't dangle your nuts over a combine harvester.
So you're getting the milking machine to suck you off, and then one of the straps flies out.
Oh, can I just tell you, we used to have this book as a kid growing up, and it was called The Book of Losers, and it was just a compilation of like news stories from around the world about losers, people who had unfortunate accidents. And one of the stories was about a guy, and I'm going to vomit when I tell this story. He cut keys for a living, so he had one of those like key cut machines, and he went to the hospital, and when they took the bandages off, like he had like taped up his own balls, because he confessed to them that when everyone had left the shop for the night, he used to like to press his groin up against the key cutting machine because it would vibrate and it was like the warm metal and stuff.
Right.
But his scrotum
and the danger, the inherent danger
got caught in the machinery of the key cutting machine and tore his scrotum open and flung one of his testicles across the shop. So he had to remove himself, his scrotum, tear his scrotum out of the machine, and then scramble around on hands and knees to find his lost testicle, which he then taped up and went to the hospital. Oh my God. Anyway, back to scrotum trauma.
Oh my God.
Apologies to anyone listening to this.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's it, really. That's so anyway, we were answering a letter.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Okay. So, yeah, that's right. 40 minutes later, we get back to Marion's letter. Okay. So she says, I feel like people need a refresher because I've even forgotten what she was talking about. Okay. This is how magpies in the 80s were dealt with in Perth at primary school. There was a defensive magpie on the girls' oval. It's pretty sexist back then, not very PC. Okay, so this mother magpie figured out if it was the girls' oval. This mother Maggie figured if it was the girls' oval, then it was for her too. And as such, it was where she chose to have her babies. Okay. The only problem was she chose to protect said babies, not just by swooping human children and their parents, but by actively maiming them. Okay, sorry, Marion. I'd hate to pull you up on this, but it's actually the male magpies that swoop, not the female magpies.
FFS.
Okay. For example, one sports day in 1985, she set her beady eyes on one mum's head. She dive-bombed her from so high and so fast that by the time she made contact, her beak implanted in the mum's scalp and she required stitches. In the mind of the school principal, it was only a matter of time before a child lost an eye, and herein lay his quandary. Actually, we didn't think he had too much of a philosophical crisis because the next day he went out and got a gun license to shoot it.
Yep.
Perth, 1985.
He's an action man.
I'm amazed that he even needed to go out to get a license in Perth in 1985. I would have thought that was just like just like that Simpsons meme. He just yells out to the Premier of Western Australia, "Oh, Nigel, I need to shoot a bird." "All right, mate. Fair enough."
I mean, if it was America, the teachers would already have guns. Like that's why it's a better country than ours.
So he went out and got a gun and a license to shoot it. A note was sent home to all the families to inform us that the Maggie had signed her own death warrant. I mean, I'd love it if that was how the letter was worded to the parents.
Well, that magpie has signed her own death warrant. A couple of piggy parents have sent a letter back. FFS, probably not the mother. It was the mother.
And not to be surprised if they were to see our principal marching out of his office with a gun in his hand and heading in the direction of the girls' oval. Not one objection was raised about the destruction of wildlife or the rampantly sexist naming of the oval. Charlie would have definitely gotten away with using his tennis racket or even a golf club back then, no questions asked. Or he could have just done what the rest of us kids did and never passed a known magpie nest without donning one's chunky yellow stack hat. I recall in the 80s where I grew up, kids would wear ice cream tubs on their heads, like the 4-litre Paul's Neapolitan tubs. That was their magpie protection.
Yeah, but you see those people like in magpie areas with the they've got all shit out of their helmet,
the cable ties and fake eyes and shit.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that.
No,
I mean, I think if I was going to end up on Brown Cardigan, I'd need to be one of those dudes because that's kind of
as soon as you've got your Marvin the Martian meets Crown of Thorns thing that you're just riding around the suburb in, you're already halfway to Brown Cardigan.
Thank you for all the laughs, Marion and Andrew. Oh, okay, right. Sorry. I thought that maybe you're non-binary. That's why you're referring yourself as we and they, but it's because it's written from the perspective of two people, Marion and Andrew.
I mean, either way,
yes, we were in the same class at primary school and ended up getting married in life, perhaps bonded by mutual trauma. Wow. That's amazing. I've met a few people who are childhood sweethearts, and I'm always like, do you ever think that maybe maybe you should have just kind of like seeing what else is out there first? Like you sort of accepted the first offer, which, look, far be it from me, head business negotiator of Tofop, to question anyone else's negotiation tactics. But the first offer? Really?
I mean, you lock it in early, you live on that investment. I think there is something about just having only known each other that, yes, you would have that idea of what else is out there, but there's also an element of, well, neither of us have ever experienced what else is out there. We have what we have together and, we've got this, life that we've grown up together. I mean,
better the devil you know.
And particularly, if it's some of that shared life experience is what bonds you, the fact that you can, both go, hey, do you remember that oval with you still had different lives. He was there on the boys' oval. You were there on the girls' oval. You still had your separate spaces. And I hope still in your life, you still have your boys' oval and your girls' oval.
I can actually do a nice little segue into a story I wanted to tell. I sizzled last week that I had an airport story.
Oh, yes.
Which does dovetail into childhood sweethearts. So, yes, I was at the airport this week, and a funny thing happened when I was going through security. Actually, this all ties into this episode's themes. So I went through security, and the new security thing now is you stand in front of that big screen and you got to stand on where your footholds are and hold your arms up in the big kind of YMCA thing, and they do a scan of you. So
is it a YMCA? Like where I have gone, all the places I've been, it's more like you're doing some old fashioned
crab dance.
It's like a crab, like it's an out to the side.
Okay, well, maybe it's more of a crab dance. Well, whatever it is, and I tend to, when I know I'm going to be getting on a plane, like dress as like I arrive with all my wallet and phone and shit already in my hand, carry on, and nothing in my pockets because I just want to get through security as fast as possible. And I'm wearing tracksuit pants. So I'm wearing like literally sneakers, tracksuit pants, and a t-shirt, nothing else. No watch, no bracelets, nothing. My stuff goes through. I stand on the thing and to beep, beep. And the guy says, sir, do you have any objects in your pockets? And I'm like, no, it's just tracksuit pants and t-shirt. And he's like, well, can you just, we'll just do it again. And beep, beep. Are you sure you have anything in your pockets? And I'm like, no. And he was this young guy and he seemed like he couldn't find he said, oh, you have something in your area. And I'm like, sorry. And he's like, your area. And I'm like, I don't. And he flicked the screen around and there was like the outline of my body. And there was a giant red exclamation mark over my groin.
Oh, okay.
So, like something in my groinal area is setting off the machine. And he said, "Do you have like any implants?" And I said, "No, nothing, no erectile."
Oh, sorry. When the Queen died, I got a Prince Albert just in out of respect. It's a mourning period.
So then he said, "Oh, you have to step back in," and it went beep beep, and it kept going off. And I said, "Look, there's literally," I said, "it's just like I got underpants on after this." And so he's gone, "Okay." So I stepped off the machine, and he said, "You have to stick your hands in your pockets." And you know that party trick that like while we're talking about the 80s, your uncle at a party in the 80s might have showed you a trick called the white-eared elephant. Are you familiar with that?
Want to see a white-eared elephant? Yeah. And now your uncle isn't allowed to come around to the house anymore.
That's right.
He went away for a while. No one ever talked about where he went.
So I had to sort of do a half one-eared elephant. They wanted to see the ears, but not the trunk. So I had to open up pull my pockets out, which I did, and they saw that they were empty. And then I had to put my hands back in my pockets and kind of create some space around the groinal region, like puff it out, like puff my pants out of it. Like I guess whatever was setting the machine off, I needed to just realign my pants. So I then went back in, beep, 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 same spot, little exclamation mark in my groin.
Is there any chance that this security machine is flirting with you?
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. But then the weird thing was they went from metallic object to we're going to have to bomb swipe you, like chemical test. Am I allowed to say it on the podcast, or does that still get me arrested? Can you talk about it? Can you say bomb away from an airport, or is that still, am I going to be banned from getting on flights?
I think you're allowed to, you're referring to the Bureau of Meteorology. I can't even say it. That's what, meteorology. The weather people.
So then they took me to the chemical swipey part. And because at first I was like, oh, he said, you're going to need to see this other guy. And I said, you're not going to strip search me, are you? Like, I'm not really, it's early. I'm not really in the mood for being strip searched.
It's early, you say, as if it would afternoon, strip search away, but it's early in the morning, mate.
Well, just let me warm it up a bit, please. At least, like, just get some blood down there first. And they're like, no, but we need to test you for chemicals. So, and they didn't put a screen up or take me to another room. I had to rub my hands on my groin, like where the beep beep was going off, like Michael Jackson, both hands on my groin, and then they swipe my hands to see if there's any chemicals. And it was like, it was a good 5 seconds of rubbing. Like I would thought one wipe would be enough.
So hang on, are your hands down your pants?
No. No, on the outside of my pants.
Okay, so because it sounded like they made you.
Turns out I wasn't even at an airport. I was at an S&M club.
Have a rub down there, and then we'll give you a little chemical test. But like, do they think they have a bomb in your pants? Is that what they're looking for?
I guess so.
Or evidence of a bomb in your pants?
I don't know how they went, because I always thought the crab dance was for metal. Maybe it scans for more than that. Maybe it's just like foreign objects or something like that.
Again, like not to harp on Michael Jackson, like for many reasons, but it's very much your Michael Jackson Thriller style, like hand that they make you do actually. So this, could you now side to side like you're a dinosaur? Do that, please, and then. Yeah,
why do I have to say Shimon? I don't understand.
They're making a homemade security tape version, scene by scene remake of Thriller with people who come through the machine.
So I had to rub the outside of my groin for like a good 5 seconds, like this, and then they swiped my hands, and it was all for nothing. Like I actually
interesting.
I very rarely.
Did you ever identify what it was that was like? Oh, hang on. So were you wearing a pair of like pants that are designed by our mutual friend who designs pants?
No.
Okay. Were you wearing a pair of pants that had a drawstring is what I'm getting at, I guess.
Yes.
Was the drawstring tucked into your pants or like hanging out the front?
I don't know. I mean, probably tucked
What would you normally do? Do you normally tuck it in?
I normally tuck it in, yeah.
Yeah. So did it have like little metal...
All it was just a red exclamation mark above my balls.
No, I understand that, but that's not a photo of what they were seeing. That exclamation mark comes up if they, like, sometimes if I'm wearing like a double hoodie because, you know, like I quite like
Why
a double
wouldn't
hoodie.
Do you really? I've
Yeah.
never worn a double. Who wears double? Like a big jacket
Well,
hoodie.
that
or
I
a
would
hoodie.
I'd be wearing like a hoodie like this, and then I'd be wearing a jacket that also has a hood on it,
Yeah.
right? So like, you know, so then you get this like exclamation mark at the back of your neck because the machine just senses that there's too much stuff there or whatever. So that, you know, so I've had those, and I've had the things in the pockets, like, but like I would have thought for the exclamation mark, there's got to be something unusual there. Is there a chance that like you have like had something implanted in your penis like that you don't know about?
I don't think so. I mean,
Uh-huh.
you know what? Like, how about this? I've been eating real clean, like, you know, no impurities in my body, just like all like lean proteins and lots of veggies and stuff. But I had to do this event in Melbourne. That's why I was down there. And I was emceeing this thing, and they were bringing me food, but I didn't really have time to eat it because I was going off on and off stage. And so by the time I got back to my hotel room, I was fucking starving. It was like, you know, after midnight. And I didn't want to order room service. It's going to take too long. I just opened whatever they had in the cupboard at the hotel, and they had like salt and vinegar chips and this jar of chocolate covered macadamias. And I have to say, well, it was like the greatest fucking twosome. Like, I mean, I know that, you know, men on business trips can't be trusted. The threesome I had that night, the illicit threesome I had in my hotel room was between a bag of salt and vinegar chips.
Sweet and salty.
And a jar of honey-encrusted chocolate-covered macadamias. It was fucking delicious. So maybe, like, I don't know, the impurity of, you know, normally my urine is like just 98% like fucking water and no impurities. And so maybe that's what set it off. How about that? It was in my bladder.
All right, maybe.
Are there heavy metals in salt and vinegar chips?
I'm not ruling it out. Okay, so all right, so what happens? Why is a childhood sweetheart got something to do with this?
Okay, so then, prior to this, about a week before, Jim and I were talking about these neighbours we had when we still lived in Sydney, and like, we had this semi-detached house about 15 years ago in Randwick, and the neighbours we shared a wall with had two little boys, and it was the perfect. It was the perfect arrangement because we were still, you know, young and partying and, you know, having people back to our place to all hours in the morning. But they would never complain about that. And we would never complain when their kids got up at 6 a.m. and ran toys up and down the hallways on the hardwood floors. It was just like, okay, you know, you go your way, you go. And we're also friendly as well. They would mind Junior when we went away. We looked after their place when they went away. It was totally great. And then one of them, the husband got a job overseas, and we sort of never saw them again. It's been like 10, 12 years. And apropos of nothing, I just sort of thought of them and was like, oh, God, they were the best neighbours. You know, like we've really had some shocker neighbours in our time, but they were the good ones. Like they are the benchmark of neighbours, you know. And I wonder if there was some way to get back in contact with them, but I couldn't really remember what their surname was. And it'd been almost like 10 years since we'd last seen them. Anyway, after my ball alarm, I put my mask on and I get on the plane, and I'm kind of annoyed because when they booked my ticket, they didn't use my frequent flyer number. So I didn't get like a priority seating. I got like sat, you know, 3 from the toilet right in the middle, and I couldn't change it. And I was kind of like, God damn it. And so I was trying to change it, couldn't change it. So I get on the plane, I'm sitting there.
Also, you're emceeing an event. The club didn't get your business class fare. They didn't get you to set up the front.
Nah, fuck mate. We're not one of the big clubs. No business class flight. And so this dude gets on and he's like, oh, sorry, I think I'm sitting in front of you. And so he walks past. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's the neighbor. And so I had my mask on though, and I said, hey, is your name Dan? He's like, yeah. I'm like, and so I put my mask down and I was like, hey, it's me, Charlie. And he's like, and so I was like, what's going on? I thought you were overseas. And he's like, oh, we've just actually moved to the Gold Coast. And I was like, no shit. I said, you know, we live just in the Northern Rivers and we're neighbors. And it was like, and so we started talking. And then I'm like, oh, I've taken the mask down. He wasn't wearing one. I've taken mine down. Now, like, what do? Do I put it back up? We're still like, we're a centimeter apart from each other and we're talking quite animatedly. Like, I don't know that it's not like I'm wearing an N95. It's like a little piece of cloth. Is it going to be weird that I have my mask on while I'm talking to him? And is it the guy on my left isn't wearing one? He's not wearing one. I'd say that maybe 2% of the plane are wearing masks. Like, I mean, am I really protecting myself with this? So I didn't put it back up. I thought it would be too weird if to sit there, and I would make him feel uncomfortable by wearing a mask.
Yeah, but this is the whole point. Like, is that, like, you know, we talk about whether making things mandatory makes people do them or not, and the argument's always like, well, people can make their own choices, and people will, you know, still make sensible choices if you educate them in the right way and those sort of things. But like masks on airplanes, I was on an airplane the day before when they were compulsory, and I would say that like 85% of people, some people got early on not having to wear them anymore, but like most people were still doing the right thing and wearing them. And then I flew the day that the mask mandate came down, and 2% would be generous.
Yeah.
Myself, and there was one other person that I saw on the plane. The woman who was sitting next to me, she said to me, would you, I noticed you're wearing a mask. Would you like me to wear my mask? And I'm like, look, no one else is on the plane who's wearing a mask. So I'm going to keep mine on, but I don't feel that just because I think that race is run, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that race is run and we absolutely lost. All I'm going to do now is just keep my mask on.
Well, now, yeah. Well, I had forgotten to take a mask. I actually made a point of going to like up to the counter and getting one. And then I was like, all right. I mean, I got the guy next to me. He's got the sniffles anyway. Whatever he's got, I'm catching. I don't think this mask is protecting me.
Well, it's not like there's, you know, like still thousands of cases a day and hundreds of people are dying.
And the hospital's getting overloaded.
Yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine, guys.
Everything's fine. Let's just, if you ignore it, it goes away. That's the rule.
Yeah, exactly. Don't bring it up.
Hey, let's let people know that if you want to support the show, the best way to do that is patreon.com/Tofop. Heaps of bonus content up there, including full-length videos. So if you want to see Will and I doing our airport thriller dance, you can sign up to Patreon for as little as $1 a month and access all the free, not free content, it's not free when you pay for it, all the bonus content on Patreon.
Once you've paid for it, it is absolutely free. That's the good news.
And if you don't have the funds to support us, that's completely fine as well. We still want you to listen to the show. Just go to tofop.com and listen to all our great podcasts. That is absolutely for free. You can listen to them for free. But perhaps maybe write us a review or go to our YouTube channel, Tofop TV. Watch and like some of our clips, share them with your friends. Just promote us. Become our promoters. Be our Don Kings. Is that too old a reference?
No, that's a good promotion. I like it.
Okay.
What I will say, though, is I have some other things that I need to plug, which is
do it.
I have a TV show which is called Question Everything, which is on the ABC Wednesday nights, or ABC iView, because there'll be episodes up by the time people are hearing this. And I have a book. It's called I Am Not Fine, Thanks. And it is now available, I reckon. By the time you're hearing this, it's probably in bookshops everywhere, but you can pre-order it. If it is not available yet, it would be cool if you wanted to buy it and read it.
Do that. And we'll be back again next week with another Tofop. Oh, and you know what we'll do next week? We'll be getting back into the Forgotten Project. We completely forgot to talk about it today.
Okay. We forgot the Forgotten Project.
I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Wil Anderson.
How long? Not long. Everyone relax.
This podcast is a Tofop production.
Head to tofop.com for more.
Cool things for cool people.